Hello and welcome back to another show with Fuse and me where we do UI coding. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to do some TypeScript coding because this is the language that I think we'll be using. It's a wrapper, I don't know I really don't know how to describe it. It's something on top of JavaScript. And, well, it's supposedly better than JavaScript, and the rest of the team has been using it, and we're converting lots of stuff to use it, and we'll be using it more. So I figure we should learn how to use it and see how we can integrate it to existing UIs, regardless of what form that takes. So we may not do a lot of actual UI design today, but we'll definitely be using the tool to explore TypeScript and see what happens. Now I must say, I know nothing about TypeScript. I think I may have used it in the past once. I'm not positive. Maybe it was CoffeeScript or some other form of script. They all sort of blend together in my eyes. But let's do it. I think I was just about to try downloading it. I was going to do the npm approach, and I wanted to update it first. Somewhere here is my terminal, and I guess I do. Scroll it down. npm install g TypeScript. Let's see what happens. This hopefully works. I guess it did something. And then I don't think I have a hello world. Let's see what the code does. Oh, it runs something. That's a good start. It actually runs something. What happens if I do its example? Probably shouldn't do this. Probably going to get mad at me. It's going to say file not found. You know, it took a very long time to tell me that file is not found. 1, 2. Wow, that's sad, but okay. I won't complain about that too much. I can put my laptop just on the floor for a second before it starts getting noisy on me again. Not that we lose you. Again, it's the MacBook there. I just gotta double check that I'm still there. The MacBooks have terrible fan control in them. They're like the smallest fan you can possibly manage, and then in any sensing of heat, they spin it as fast trying to launch the thing off the desk, and it's just noisy and still hot. Alright, so I did an empty project here, and we have this basic one. We're going to go with the same model approach we did before. I set up the project. I'm going to say model equals, I guess, state. Let's just go with that. We don't have a model yet. And probably going to have to reload this here. It's going to complain that there's no model. But let's wait for a second. Let's actually get a minimal JS file. Let's go. Let's do learn it fast. That's a wonderful button. Let's learn it fast. But that's not fast enough. Alright, fine. Tutorial in 5 minutes. That sounds awesome. Function greeter. That's nothing new to me there. It just looks like JavaScript so far. Now, it's going to be hard to learn because I really want to get to the point where I can export a class. That's like the key thing I want to actually do. And classes, class. Well, that's what I want to do. So let's start creating a TypeScript file and hope we have it. So we have a class, and we're going to have it state. And we're going to call this state.js. I'm just going to jam them into the same directory for simplicity right now. This is a TypeScript file. I almost called it TypeScript. Okay, and the tabs, and it's supposed to be, hey Studio C, we're trying to learn TypeScript today, and I guess I don't have scripting installed here, so I wonder if there's a TypeScript extension to Sublime. Is there TypeScript Sublime? That might help. I want to get the correct highlighting here. Sublime. Sublime's pretty cool too, I guess. I know. TypeScript Sublime plugin. Let's see what we have. Is there an easy way to install this? Oh man, is there like a package control? Okay, package control. We have that somewhere here. And where would package control be? Package control. Come on. Sublime, tell me where your package control is. Let's try to command palette. Package control. Install package. Oh. TypeScript. Which one do I want? Well, let's just install both. That might install everything. We'll find out what that installs, and from there. So it's, I don't know what it did. Let's do package control again. Install and package. Let's do TypeScript again. It must use syntax here. TypeScript completion sounds good. TypeScript syntax, good. Got that. That should be enough, no? Alright. What is this thing? What do I look for it here? Can I just like reload this? This is always so much fun. TypeScript syntax, right down here. Those might have been two different packages. We're going to find out. We'll just do TypeScript here. There we have state. That's good enough. Let's do that for now. We've got a TypeScript package. Good enough. How do we export this thing? So we have a constructor. We can still do that. Constructor. This is looking very familiar if you've seen the show before. This.title equals typey. Okay, now we have to export this. You know how to export. So I'm going to jump around here figuring out how to do an export TypeScript. I wonder if it's exactly the same. If it's exactly the same, well, it's just, you know. It may have actually taken the X module, expo. I don't know examples here. Hey, oldies! I'm learning how to export stuff. Export. Oh, export looks right. Now, do you think there's one called default? Do you think we need one called default? Well, then I'm just going to do export default. If we get this here, then let's see. We just need a typey in the screen. So all we really need to have is here text value equals title. Then we're probably gonna have to we're gonna have to compile this first. Where are we? We're in source user fuse demos. Stream TypeScript 1 TSC. Now there's probably a way we can have this compile continuously. Holy crap, is that slow? Sorry, I mean, that's a slow compiler for what it's not even doing anything. Alright, so we have to declare a file, I guess. Constructor. Let's go back. Oh, that's the wrong one. We need to give it a... Where's a class here? Oh, man. Alright, we're giving it a type. We're going to say title, and this is a string. Do I need to use a semicolons? I'm going to find out. Alright, then we go back here, and there must be a way to launch this that it stays and keeps doing it. Alright, so it built it, and it built a JS file, I'm guessing, less state.js. And it makes this ugly JS file. This is, and no semicolons. Great, thank you. I won't use semicolons then. And it seems to take it as default. That's good. So this creates the old one. So you don't really even need the Babel. We have a Babel plugin, but I guess this already compiles down to some plain old historical whatever not JavaScript. And that means now we should be able to reload this thing. Let's do a rebuild on this and see what happens. And we'll see if this works. Give it a chance to finish booting, or whatever it's doing. There we go. We have typey. Alright, and that's the TypeScript tool. I'm finished with Let's go on. So the basic thing we have here, in difference to what we had before, is that we had an explicit thing here, an explicit field, and I much prefer this. I really don't like the way you can just add stuff to things dynamically. I know Python you can do that as well. I think it makes it really messy. What I don't like here is having to have this though. It seems really weird. If I have to declare things, I still have to do this. What? Okay, let's just assume that's correct for now. And we have an interface person. I don't know what an interface is yet. We'll get back to the interfaces. Now, that's, I guess, the 5-minute tutorial. We're going to need more than that. Let's go down to gulp, 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 gulp. No. What's gulp? Gulp's not interesting. Gulp, and then add browserify, uglify, and watchify. Why would we want to do these? Minimal project. Source, fine, whatever, npm init. I don't want to npm init it. What does gulp do? What is gulp? This sounds like there's way more than I want. I just want the TypeScript stuff. Well, let's just look at the command line for it and figure out what we can do here. TSC is just say help, and it gives us some very poorly formatted output. There must be a watching command. Compile this project in the path. Watch input files. That sounds good. Watch. Watch sounds good. I wonder how it is if I do tsc -- watch. I think it was watch star.js. Do I need to put the directory? Oh wait, sorry. Bam. Stupid me. How do I break out as Control C? Is this enough? Oh, I need just star.ts probably. Yeah, good. That's all I need then. So we can make a change. And let's see, we have this change, so our Fuse is watching for changes, and TypeScript's watching for changes. So if I change the file, typey, woo! Oh, I guess I spelled wrong, that's okay. It recompiles and then it reloads. And so we got that. We have that watching. And that's all we basically need. We're going to have something like that. It watches. So what else can we do with these things? Let's create a type list component. So we want to create a list of components now. And we want to do this in TypeScript, so we have the state here. And what do we want to put in this list? I'm not sure what's put. Who knows what we'll put in this list? Let's do something fun. And it has interfaces, and so the tutorial wasn't really that helpful, to be honest. Handbook, basic types. So it's going to take a while to learn this because let's just do something basic, and I think we can still have dynamics. So let's just work from there with dynamics. Anybody have a preference for what type of item they want to do? Let's do a class, and let's call it an item. And it has a name, which is a string. And it has a description, which is a string. And what else should it have? Let's just do a name and an image, which is a string. And let's create a value to make it interesting, or I don't know what this is. And we'll say this is a, what value type does it have? A number. This is a number. Good, so that's a number. I don't know how we're going to create these things. Constructor, I guess they take a name, image, and value. So this dot name equals name, this dot image equals image, this dot value equals value. I meant to put a space in all of those. And now we have items, and items is, how do they specify arrays? This is a item array. That looks good. Probably starts with null, so I probably have to do this dot items equals. Does this have to be typed, or can I do this? Let's see what the file says, the output. It says nothing, so it appears to be happy. Let's see how happy it really is. New item 1. 1.ping 13. Okay. And if it actually worked, we're going to put a big list in here. Stack panel / stack panel each items equals. What do I want to do with this? It was I called it items. And let's just do a text value equals name. 1. It's there. Okay. So the output says nothing if it didn't get an error, it looks like, which I guess is okay, because otherwise it's a whole bunch of errors. So we have the basic, we have an array. Now this is supposed to be typed. Well, what does that actually mean? Does that mean if we do this.items.push 15, is it going to get mad at us? I'm hoping it gets mad at us. Yes. It's mad at me. It's not assignable type, that's correct. That's what I wanted. Got mad. Does it actually check it if I put it in here? With a dynamic list? It does. String or item is... so it's actually doing... I got it. A string or item array. So it's actually taken this whole list and it's created a unified variant type saying this or this. I'm curious, does this actually work if I do string or item array? Does it actually support this? That'd be cool. Built-in variant types would be awesome. It does! Hey, that's neat. Variant types, I love variant types. I use them in a lot of code projects. I use them in my C++ project. C++ is actually the first place I used variants, and I think it's one of the first that add formal variant support from the Boost library, and it was a wonderful addition. I've been using them for a long time, and it doesn't, I mean, its syntax leaves a lot to be desired, but it does have variants, and TypeScript seems to have a way better syntax for it. Okay, so we have syntax, we have items, we have a number. 2. Oh, listen, any type is okay though. I like any types. That's just to formalize the completely variant type. And C++ also has an any type. And it was introduced by Boost at the same time they put in the variant type, or right around the same time. And there is good value to it, and it's really limited though. So there's a few cases use it, but generally adding any is kind of like defeating the purpose of having a typed language. In C++ you need it because you're not allowed to have untyped. And TypeScript, I guess you could just leave off the type, but you can cast it. Now, let's grab an image or two. How do we want to put some images here? Let's use my standard images. I have some around. Let's create a new tab here. I don't know. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry that this is the I term. I don't know why it doesn't. It just refuses to keep the same size. And what's going to happen is if I increase the size, it increases the size of the window. This is not a valid UI design. Just because I increase font size doesn't mean I want to increase the size of the window. Which means every time you create a tab and it doesn't get the size, yeah, you get the idea. Alright, so let's go to the stream. I'm in there. TypeScript 1. Make dir assets, cd assets, and I hope this works with soft linking. And what am I doing? I want to do assets. Oh, I don't have assets here. Shall we go grab some files? I don't have a bunch of asset files. Let's grab them somewhere. I can copy them somewhere. Let's just... And I have an assets directory here. Actually, I'm going to link it. I'm going to see if it gets mad at me. Oh, but then nobody else will be able to use this one, so let's just copy it. Copy icons 200, and let's take the rocket PNG. We'll start with rocket. I think we have to modify the project file and do assets startup PNG as a bundle. Well, whatever. Image source equals, I think image file actually, image file equals image. Alright, and we have problems. Cannot load 1/ping, that's fine because I have the wrong name. And the file name is assets/rocket-ping. There we go, it has a rocket, so we have the rocket loading as well. And so now this is a rickety rocket. Rickety rocket 13. And let's create a second item that we can do. New item. Black bowling ball. Very simple. This one's not worth quite as much as a rocket, but you know, we don't know what the value actually is. And it failed to load it, which is fine. And I think I have one called bowling. Now let's go to the main view. Let's actually create a list here with stack panel, and this is going to be a doc panel in each one. Image doc equals left, and we're going to make this file equals image. Give it a height of, let's do 50 so everyone can see it, width of 50, margin of 5. And maybe not a margin. Maybe we should put a padding on the whole thing instead. Padding equals 5. And we're going to put a background to it. Rectangle. Color equals. Now, without any reference here, I'm just going to have to make up some color names. Let's do DEF. That sounds reasonable. Corner. Radius equals 5. Layer equals background. Let's see what happens. Do we have items? We're missing images. Image. Okay. There we go. Doc panel. Stack panel. Item spacing equals 10. Margin equals 10. So that's some bowling balls. Corner radius isn't quite big enough. And I don't like when the background's too big, so if I took the clear color for width, we'll make the background darker. Weird. That's weird. Background. There we go. Then I can make this even brighter. EFF. There we go. So we have simple little items. The image, the margin. The image should also have a margin though to take up extra space. Margin equals 0, 0. Only on the right side. 10, 0. Space those out. So we have something there. Black ball spelled wrong. So we at least have this type now. So this is what TypeScript is doing for us. We have type things, image, and they have names. So we can't go about doing something wrong now. And this margin thing, yeah, when you reload, it's kind of annoying. There's a defect in it again, but it'll come back. 15 looks nicer anyways, or 12. So we have two items. We have the basic bowling ball, and we have the items in it. Now, what do we want to do with these items? Let's make a selection type list. These are one of the ones where you can click on them, get some more information from them. Let's put the value on them first of all. We'll put the value here somewhere. Circle alignment equals top right. Padding equals 5. Color equals, we'll just make this one pure white now. Text value equals value. Here we go. Now I'm guessing that value there is a bit weird. It's in a 9, it's in a corner. Fine. We have a value, not the wonderful design here, but we have something like that. Now let's do a Boolean type here. We want to make these things expandable or selectable. Barney, today I'm doing TypeScript, so, you know, you can't complain about Rust today. Today I'm doing TypeScript. So what we want to do is we want to add, what do I want to do here? I want to create another items of selected items. And I just want to put more values in here so we can play around with the types a bit more. So what else can we have on these things? We can have a set of tags. And what will tags have on them? Tags is also going to be a list of things. So tags are going to be, I guess it's going to be a string, a list of strings. And this is going to be fast, expensive. No, let's not put it there. That's already there. It's fast and cool. And I don't know what the syntax highlighter is bitching about. We're going to find out, I guess. Oh, probably because it doesn't take enough. And this one is, bowling balls are also fast. And they're noisy. Not like a rocket. A bowling ball is very noisy. So let's say tags. So that's what the highlighting is about. So the highlighting is actually pretty good here. Highlighting is better than the Rust highlighter we have for Visual Code, if you've watched those shows. Now we don't use the tags. Let's throw the tags in here. We're going to align them to the bottom, I think. Bottom align thing. So doc equals bottoms. Let's do a wrap panel here, actually. Wrap panel. Just in case you're really big. Doc equals bottom. Each items equals tags. Each. I suppose that you have some sort of panel. Let's just do text on them. Text font equals italic. Value equals the data for the tag. It's just a string, so it's used directly. And these should probably have spacing on them, but whoa, what happened? So we need to have spacing on them. Of course, I don't think I ever added item spacing here. Let's see if I did. No item spacing. I forgot to add that to wrap panel. Silly me. Margin equals. Let's just give them the spacing this way. It's always options. 10's too much. Fast and noisy, and we have those tags. So we have some basic things, and I'm just trying to play with the types here a bit more. Now, we have these two different items. We have two different items, and let's add another item just to have a third one. And let's see what we have for images that we can use quickly. Let's use a clock. And this is a clicking clock. A clicking clock. That sounds fun. I'm not going to keep up with the alliteration. It's good enough. Clock.png, and it has, this is really low value. Nobody likes clocks. They tell you where to be, when to be, and you have to pay for them. They're super slow, and they're also noisy. Okay, so we have a clock now. So we have the three items, and now I want to see if we can create some sort of interface instead. Instead of saying this has to be an item, can we do something else with this instead? Can we say that this can be any sort of, does it have to be an item? It has to be an item interface. So let's see if we can do that in TypeScript. There's interfaces here somewhere. Don't know what interface. There's an interface. What do we have there? Interfaces. One of TypeScript's core principles is that type checking focuses on the shape that values have. The shape. Seriously, the shape that values have? It's going to be like the lamest way I've heard to describe an interface. The shape of the value. I mean, no, that's just stupid. This is sometimes called duck typing or structural subtyping. In TypeScript, interfaces fill the role of naming these types in a powerful way of... Alright, so whoever wrote this introduction paragraph, I don't actually think understands what interfaces are. And they have, or no, actually, one to bet is that somebody who wrote this paragraph knew what they were, and somebody came through and ripped out every second sentence and packed it down to whatever this thing says. Right. Starting with a simple example, a labeled object is a label string. That's okay. Print label, sure. Okay, so these are all interface requirements. Curious. Ah, so they're dynamic. So what I wanted to check is I want to check now, can we make here an interface? Instead of a class item, we can do an interface. Second, I'm gonna, yeah. Let's just say an interface named item. I don't know why it's mad at me for that. Why does it not like interface? It's got a name, which is string. It doesn't like something with this though. What does it not like about my string? Expected. It's expecting a semicolon somewhere. Alright, now I'm missing something. Where is it expecting a semicolon? What's it getting mad at me for? value. Watching. Oh yeah, thanks Otis. Spelling's helpful. Okay, we have named item. So interface, these are all dynamic. This is duck typing. If duck typing is correct, let's check this more. Let's just put all of this stuff down here. Just to check it for now. And instead of item, we can actually put a named item here, if this is what it's saying, if this is correct. And so this is compatible. These items are compatible with named item. And this is what it means duck typing is about, is that the interface is not explicit. Item does not have to implement interface. It just does by the fact it has those fields. And this is something known as duck typing, what it attempted to and poorly described in this first paragraph. And optional properties. Now I wonder how the optional properties would fit in at the high level. I don't know if it... I wonder if you can make this dynamic. Like I can somehow export the fact that this thing has an optional property. Well, we don't want those. I don't know what it's going to do if I can put an optional property. There's no way to... Is there a way to test if it has the property? Can I put functions in interface? I'm going to read a bit more here. It says property checks. Alright. Trying to get something from here. I want proper name, any string. No, I don't want that. Function types. Oh well, so these are functions now. I don't want that. It's a weird function notation here. So I don't know how much of this we're going to use at the UX level, because this is mainly at the JS level, the TypeScript level. A lot of this stuff is just not going to be useful at the UX level because we need to export it. What I'm looking for is a way, if I have an optional field, can I somehow export that? Or is an interface truly just an interface? This interface is probably just not seen at our UX level at all. So adding functions to it would not be helpful. Alright, so that doesn't happen to help us very well here. Yeah, okay, so that's all. This is confirming that these interfaces don't make it to JS, so there's nothing we can actually do with them, which makes the optional field thing, I mean, it's... The optional field thing means at runtime they don't have it, so we're not going to be able to check for optional fields in any reasonable way through the interface. Because what I was hoping to do is I was hoping to say the tags are optional, and then some way at the high level check does it have tags or not, but that's going to be like each of these interfaces itself is going to have to still specify tags for us. So let's just ignore that for now. What else can we do here? We have an interface, kind of a pointless interface, but it's there. Now let's make the item, just to, so we understand this a bit better, let's make a class called value, or just call it currency. Money value. Let's go with money value. And this is going to have a value which is a number, and a currency which is a string. We'll just call it a string for now. Or does it have fixed length arrays? Well, ideally, I wonder if there's a way to make this. This is a 3-length string. That'd be too much. 3-length string. And so this number, value number now, is now a money value instead. This is a money value, and if I do this, it's going to get mad at me because it's already said something's wrong because it doesn't know how to do that. It's copying money values. That's nice. This is really already much nicer than JavaScript. It tells us that we have the wrong types here, the wrong items, and that's just wonderful. Now we need a way to create a money value here. Can we do static stuff? I'm going to make a function. What do I want to do for function? I want to do money euro. Let's just give it a value. These are just convenience functions. I'm going to do return new money value. Can I do this? I'm thinking of Rust now. Well, let's see how we can do it. Can we... lithium... Well, no, this is a fuse. This is the fuse front end for the UI. And we're playing mainly in the TypeScript right now. But this is the UX, and the UX here is the a reactive declarative language, putting this in UI. We're not focusing too much on this today, but you can see a lot of my old shows. I go through a lot of this stuff and how I create animations and stuff. And I haven't done much here. I'm just trying to play with the TypeScript side here to get to understand how TypeScript works, because we're going to be doing a lot more stuff in TypeScript, because JavaScript has no typing and it becomes a real pain. One of the big negatives about Python as well. And right now I'm just looking for a way. How do I do object creation directly in here? There must be a way. Can I create... Well, let's just try the obvious first. Let's see if this actually works. Value of value currency euro. Doesn't like that. I use TypeScript Angular at work. It's wonderful. We love to have people on the show that know what they're doing as opposed to me. At the moment, looking at my clock, I now have 38 minutes of TypeScript experience. So if I'm doing something that looks utterly ridiculous, then yeah, you know why. But I try to do things I know I can do in other languages. Aha! That's what I want. Thank you. And that would be delightful. That actually works, but I think I have to declare a function. Do I have to say function? I do. Okay. 18. Where's it whining now? Yeah, that's supposed to be that. That's good. Alright, so we could do, first of all, let's do money euro on this one. Money euro. Let's create another one called money USD. They love their bowling. And money, we'll say euros again. Let's hear what do they want. And so we'll make another one called money USD. Okay, yeah, lithium, that's what I was wondering. I'm used to classes where you don't have to specify it, and it's been so long since I've specified one outside of a class. Money value item, money value. A money's class. Yeah, we should. We should stick a money's class. As soon as I get this compiled, we should make a money's class and make these statics. That must be possible. And value. What is it complaining about now, though? It's complaining on 46,3. I wonder if there's a this plugin. I wonder if I can get this actually running in TypeScript so I can click on this stuff. That'd be cool. Money value is not assignable to type number. Aha, because I have to do it up here. Money value. Okay. Now, it's going to screw up the display though, right? You get this weird Java object, tree object, because it now sees this money object instead. And we might want to say, let's just create a, for instance, we're going to pick a function called, let's do a standard format function, and we're just going to do return value plus space plus currency, or this, I guess. And we have to call format in the main thing, so we don't call data, we do value. Oh, we can't do it. We have to do a getter here. Get, and this would be formatted. Because I don't. Okay, what do we have now? We have nothing. Whoa, that's no good. Oh, we have an airbag here. Whoa. Oh, I guess I'm targeting the wrong thing. Alright, so I had to target something else. How do I target something else? Target. I see stuff like ES6 there, though. Allow JS, preserve JX. We've got to find a way to strict remit lib. What is dash lib? Is this the one I'm targeting, or how do I specify the target here? Source map of others. Is that the library thing? If I do dash library ES5, library lib, it was. No, it'd be really helpful if it told me how. Let's copy this thing. What do we have here? Well, that's a lot of options. That's a lot of options you have configured. Do I have to put this in? I probably should put it in config file anyway, so let's just do this. Save this as, what do we call it? tsconfig.json. Compiler options. And I'm not going to add all of these, I'm just going to add the ones I like. And clearly I want target to be ES5. And I guess module is going to be, I think that one sounds important as well, common JS. There's other module systems. And I guess we'll do the lib, just so we don't get confused here. And these are the common libraries, I guess, 2015. I don't want to generate my own, or do I? Well, that would make sense. Let's do that. Yeah, go away. Aha, there we go. It's going to reload this. There we go. And, well, this was the default. Strict. Well, there's even more options that was in the screen there. Okay, good, we have that. So let's start this up again. We don't need that. We just do this. We watch our files. And I guess I'm running it wrong. Because I guess I have to do it here. It's probably because I specified the command files that I did that wrong. What do I want to do now? Paths. What do I want? I just get rid of this. Aha, so we're getting errors because of the strict type of stuff. Good, so we have stuff to fix. Okay, so I guess that's the strict mode is more strict. We have it in line 2. I think it got it now. I think if because I was putting star.ts on the command line, I think it was probably just ignoring the properties file. So state.ts 9,2 value is number. And it's not definitely assigned the constructor. This seems totally fair. So what do we have to do? Do we do something like this? 0 and xxx. Is that what fixes that? It does. I don't know what this problem is here. And I'll get to that fuse setup in a little bit, and I just want to fix this stuff first. 18. Where's line 18? Oh, it's no longer casting this. Can I do this? How do I cast this now? So this is the next one we have, is that the strict mode means I can no longer do this. So how do we get around this? How do we return a type of money value? That we're going to check up. We're going to do TypeScript. TypeScript create object of type. That's probably not what I want. Okay, I'm still on this weird keyboard. I have a different keyboard than I'm used to. I just look for random stuff until we figure out what I want to do. Is there a way to explicitly create an object of a type without using a constructor? This is what I'm looking for right now. And is it possible? I don't know. Nobody knows that. So what I want to look for is I want to look for a way to make this thing become a money value. And now the strict mode is complaining that it doesn't allow that. But it did in non-strict mode, which is kind of annoying. I'm guessing this is complaining about the parameter type, like this. An image is a string, and a value is a money value. And tags are string. That makes sense. Here, you mean? Okay. Still complaining about something else, but now showing this here, it indicates there must be something I can open up, some sort of window that lets me see these things. Type is incorrect. You gotta go back to class then. But now I need to know how to convert this. I need to know how to convert this thing into a money value. Do I have to use a constructor, or... Yeah. I know, I use Rust a lot, so I'm trying to just say I want this. Do I have to use a constructor? Is there any way to create an object of a certain type without a constructor, or do I have to create a constructor for it? Alright, so there's no, it doesn't appear to be any way, so I might as well just create a constructor, new money value, and let's just say value, comma, euro here. And that's the simplest way, and I'll just create a constructor. Value is a number, and currency is a string. This dot value equals value, this dot currency equals currency. return new money value, value comma USD. Oops. Alright, okay, do we have any errors? It looks like everything's fine. Oh, we're still missing something on line 23. Value is a number. Now, does anybody know if we can do subtyping? I don't want a number, I want to have like a money. It's technically just a number, but I don't want to wrap it in a class. I just want to like put a strong alias saying you should only use numbers here. And the same with the currency string. I want to say you should use a strong alias. You just can't assign any old string. You have to explicitly convert back and forth. That would be really cool. For something called TypeScript, I'm expecting lots of type options. I'm really excited about these type options. Okay, let's check this other thing here while thinking about that. Fetch and promise, okay. Ah yeah, we don't need that. We'll just put them in here. And, okay, so we don't need to do Fuse.js bundles anymore. That's just a minor thing, though. IKFS is like, actually, to be honest, that type of type safety I wanted long before I used Rust, and I think Rust type safety actually goes too far. It disallows certain conversions that should be allowed, and allows some that shouldn't be allowed. But now I love subtyping. It's something I have in my own language. It's something I've seen in other places. Subtyping is a type of one where you can make sure you have like kilometers per hour or this type of stuff, and you make sure you're not assigning the wrong values. In this case, what I want is I want a currency value. So I want to say like this is actually a currency code of some kind. And I want to say that this string up here is actually a currency code. It is a string. It functions like a string, but you need explicit conversions back and forth. So I don't want to have a class. I absolutely do not want a class which makes this a currency code, because that's too high level for JavaScript. I basically want it to compile down to a string, but at this level I want to say, look, this is a currency code, and I can enforce that and make sure you don't accidentally use something else. I talked about this show. One of the things that Rust does, the most annoying thing that Rust does, you cannot, your basic things like, if you have a floating point value, float value divided by 2, you can't do this, even though logically that's perfectly safe, because Rust interprets constant values as I32s, and that's actually kind of annoying, and it makes it, really forces it. And yet at the same time, it allows you to do this, 1 divided by 2, and happily sends in 0. So those two examples show that the Rust type safety isn't quite 100%. You can easily get the wrong calculations or be forced to convert when there isn't actually a logical conversion required. But, oh, yeah, I could whine about that in my Rust show, though, if you want. In this show, I want to see, can we do subtyping? Let's go back to TypeScript interfaces. And do we have... No, I don't want an intersection type. I don't want a union type. Union types are... Oh, really? It's so good. I'm not alone, but I mean... Yeah, and I look at this and I'm really interested in types, because in Leaf what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try to make Leaf very, very type safe. But Leaf works in the fundamental philosophy that all conversions are allowed as long as no precision is lost. And so you can always up-convert. So a constant value of 2 can convert to anything that can represent 2. It doesn't care if that's a floating point, if that's a rational value, if that's an integer, if that's a binary. Oh, let's check that Ethereum. I want to see that working. And you mean just empty? I want to see if this actually works. And we do value, value, currency, currency. Money value? Oh, sorry, this has to be US euro. Okay, so that's okay. Yeah, no, I got it. Do we still need to declare the return value, or is that implied? It appears to be implied. So I'd rather get rid of this constructor, because when I have things like this, I'd rather have just like explicit things like this rather than silly constructors and pass it through, because I think it's clearer what we're doing here this way than using a constructor. Yeah, I think that works. I think that looks better. Okay, now we still have this problem with formatted. Main view formatted. It's not using formatted. Let's just restart this just to make sure that it's actually got the stuff. It's not a terrible idea to declare the return value. It's one of those safety things. And I say it looks like optional. I like the idea that it's optional. This is something I do in Leaf. I'm making a lot of types optional, and it determines them at compile time. But if you know what it is, like this case, you say, look, I know this is money value, and what I'm working towards is a language, and I like languages that basically say, it's optional, but if you know it, specify it, because it makes it safer, right? It says, I know this has to be a money value. And it's like, great, then it can check it here. Otherwise, it implies a return type and says, well, you know, it could be something else, and that's okay. And it'll catch it later, but by forcing as much as you know, and it helps it find it earlier. And so in Leaf, I'm going to do the same thing. It looks like TypeScript supports something similar. Basically, it'll infer types, it'll find the type, but if you know the type, specify it, because it's going to help you find the defects a lot quicker than that. It just lets you move on with the code, because sometimes you can say, like, I know what it is, and it just helps you get through things quicker. But now I got to figure out why this formatted doesn't work. Value does not contain property formatted, but it really does. It really does contain formatted. Now, why is this formatter not working? We got to figure this one out. Why is this not working? Let's look at the code it spit out for us. Let's look at the state.js code. Money value. Get is a function. Get formatted. This looks like it's there. Defines another prototype. Let's check it at a higher level first. Before we do that one, let's do it on the main class. Let's do get our title. Return our. I want to see if this works. We got to get an accessor working somehow, so I understand what's happening with the accessors. Stack panel value equals text. Value equals our title. And well, that bit works. Alright, so what part doesn't work? The value here, and this is a value, this is a money value, and it has formatted. Let me check something with data equals. Maybe we have an issue here with accessing getters within a context if I do values formatted here. I'm not spelling this wrong, am I? Formatted, formatted. This is not working right. Sorry about the phone. Can't control that. So the value.value is going to give me the value. Value.currency is correct, so it's finding it. Wow, my phone's really loud today. Now, why doesn't it find value.formatted? This is weird. Value does not contain property formatted. Okay, so I don't know what's the issue here. If this is related to TypeScript or to Fuse itself. We do support accessors, as we see down here. Get our title returns our. Let's put one on item as well to see if it works here. Get item name. And we'll just redo this. Return this dot name with this exclamation at the end. And let's try that. Well, this is... But this isn't going through a dot formatter. So that's a bit weird. We don't have the dot formatter on there, so it might be the issue. It might be the dot. It might be the path doing it, but I was fairly certain that worked. For now, we'll do it this way, and I'll try to figure out why it doesn't work. And this should be an ellipse, not a circle. As you can see, it looks really bad with an ellipse circle. Is there a way to keep windows on top in a... There we go, keep that on top so it doesn't go away on me. I like that. It's probably going to hurt in the browser one, that's fine. We'll keep that on top. And I don't actually want an ellipse, I want a rectangle. No, a rectangle is no good either. There we go. And the color's not so good there. That's okay. It's white enough. Let's add a stroke to it. Stroke width equals 1. Stroke color equals... I don't know. Not too dark. Brighter than that. There we go. So we have a currency. It's kind of silly. It's good enough. Padding equals 5. Padding actually cube 5,2. It's a bit cleaner. And that's okay. Get rid of this title. So now we have the question of, and I'll put a to-do on that. Item name was fine. And I had to figure out why. To-do. Why is this not working? Well, let's try another thing. Try get money. I just throw it here. Get money string. Return value dot formatted. Let's see if this actually works. Value is not defined. Oh yeah, self. No, this. Sorry, that's my Rust again. I have no idea why it's even trying to read something right now because it doesn't have anything. And this should be able to do it, so / money string. Failed compute value for, well, let's just get rid of this for a second and see what happens as we get this here. So it's not the dot access that's doing it. There's something else. Aldous, what are you referring to now? The money string or this money thing up here? This is better if I put the string on here. getter. Okay. Well, I wasn't I'm not returning a class in either type. They're just supposed to be a string. My tests are all a string. I'm wondering why does this not return a string? Alright, so there's something wrong with this getter. This getter here is wrong. Does anybody know why that's wrong? Oh! Yeah, all this. Yeah, I see. No, all this is absolutely correct. This is a cast. This is probably not an actual money value object. This is really just a cast. So we really have to go back to this approach here where we have an explicit constructor. We actually have to create this money value type. Like that. Number is not defined. What do you mean number is not defined? Oh, value. That actually works. Aha, so that is the actual issue. So I can do value.formatted now, probably. Yes, okay, so Aldous, you are correct. So, don't do this. Lesson number 1. Don't cast types to something else because they're not actually that type. This is actually, I'm guessing, the cast. Let's see if you can actually find casting in the documentation. Move this over a bit. How do you move windows here if they're covered up? Is there casting? Casting. They have a search function. They have no search. Well, that sucks. Let's figure out what that cast actually does. TypeScript cast. Because it's not a safe cast. So it's like the C-style casting. Just cast it. That's just go away. Just do some other casting. It looks like we can't find it though. There's nothing on the TypeScript site itself. No, I don't like this site. Let's close this for a second. As these are casting. Now, do they actually have a reference here? Do they have a proper reference? They have no search, and they don't have an API reference. Not impressed. Hey, oxygen deprived. We're learning TypeScript. We're trying to figure out how casting works now. Come on, cast. There's no casting there. TypeScript. Let's do site. Site TypeScript lang.org cast. It's not helpful. This is not helpful. Cast. Type assertions. Woohoo. Angle bracket syntax, and the other is the as syntax. Which, right, this is the only place it looks like we find it. So, Cries, you've also not seen it as. and type assertions. These are type assertions. Alright, so these actually look crazy, to be honest. Even though it says as here, there's probably not a lot of notes about this, because as we're seeing, this is completely broken. You cannot do this because the returning value is not a money value. And now I understand. I think the reason you'd use this casting, and so I would use this approach. I would not use the as syntax because the as is too much like in other languages where as looks like type safe cast, but as here is certainly not type safe. It looks like you'd use this in the case where you have an object wrapped by a library that doesn't have type safety. Like if you pass something off to a normal JavaScript library and it spits an object out, if you know it's the correct type, if you know it's a money value, you can cast it. But you should definitely not be doing this here. Yeah, Cries is correct. It's like basically when you're stuck with an object and you know what it is, but the TypeScript doesn't. So we're definitely doing that way. And so what we have now is the only possibility we know right now to create a money value object is with a constructor for it. There is no syntax. I was looking for the way you do it in Rust or in my own language, Leaf, or if you just give it a compatible type, it would take it and automatically construct it. But we don't have that option here. But keep that a lesson. That casting is not type safe. It's definitely a C, basically or C++ reinterpret cast. Just do this, even though those are probably a bit safer. So now we have this. What happened? Where'd it go? Where'd my window go? It lost my window! My window went away. Alright, let's load that back up again. Now, I don't think that was actually Fuse's fault. OS X has a real problem working with multiple monitors when they're not both open. I frequently lose windows. And I don't know why that is. They just disappear. They go onto the other monitor even though it's closed, and I have no way of getting to them. Well, Cries, I'm guessing then if I use that casting notation to force a string to a number, it's not actually going to convert it to a number. It's going to leave it as a string and just pretend, hey, it's a number. So this casting is definitely not doing anything. It's basically a metacast. It's just for the TypeScript itself. It's just telling TypeScript, just trust me, I know what I'm doing, this is this type. It doesn't actually do any conversions. Whereas casting, like the as operator in any other language I've seen, it will actually be doing some sort of type conversion. It does not do that in TypeScript. Now, even vice. You can probably do the second one. Casting back and forth probably works. There probably is standard conversions, but I don't know. Now, the next one I'm looking for, what we nice to find, is this currency, and I mentioned this before. Is there some way we can... Oh, so we got formatted. That's good. We got that fixed up. We have formatted. We have TypeScript. We have these items. Now, if we look at... There's one thing I'd like to find. Is there subtypes? Let's do basic types, string. Let's search if anybody's called these subtypes as well. TypeScript subtype. Nah, subtype looks like a derived type. Strict type alias. Yeah. Yeah, this. There we go. Let's do advanced types. Okay. Type aliases. So you can now define aliases. That's fine. Type alias. Just interfacing union and stuff. Well, I mean, okay then. But yeah, if it's just a layer on top, maybe it does work. Maybe there's somewhere a callback. Generic type. Okay, so the aliasing so far is really just aliasing. So it has It has parameterized type aliases. I've got those in Leaf too. They're convenient, but I guess we're not going to have subscripts. Oh, somebody answered a question of mine. Oh, that's a really old one. What the hell did they answer? Alright guys, I got an answer to a question I asked 3 years ago. 5 years ago. Why do people do that? I'm not really looking for answers at this point. This is the exact one. This is the question I want. Is there a way to enforce TypeScript to even more TypeScripting up per alias checks? Kilograms, kilometers. There's no nominal typing in TypeScript yet. There's an issue for it. So you could do it. Yeah, this is a bit bulkier than I want. Is this still an open issue? TypeScript. Is this a Microsoft product, TypeScript? Or why is it in the Microsoft one? Nominal types. Yeah, I like these. I like nominal types. Oh, I'm not alone. Let's click that one there. Let's get more. Let's put this one here. Let's find the names of these 3 people and... So let's find these 3 people. Boo, Conrad S, ISAO, and Spion. You've absolutely never debugged an issue with converting types to the wrong type. Having subtypes, I'm surprised very few languages have it, would probably save hours and hours of debugging time. It saves... Oh wow, there's a lot of positive things. Okay, this is something I will add to Leaf at one point. It's hard to get right though, because you don't want to make it too strict that it's really hard to use, because they have to still work like their basic type. It's really just an assignment. You have to say, well, you know, you can't suddenly become another one. But then you have an issue that if you multiply like kilometers by 2, well, the 2 is not a kilometer, but nor should it be, because multiplying kilometers by kilometers gives you kilometers squared, and so getting these subtypes is very difficult. There is one I saw in C++ once. There was an actual implementation of C++ using a template system. It was actually really nice, and it actually did all the powers. So if you did kilometers times kilometers, you got kilometers squared. If you divided by seconds, you got kilometers per second. And it kept track of the power value of all of them. And this was done all with a template system so that at runtime, it was completely gone. And so it was really super speedy at runtime. And admittedly, the compile time had issues, but it was really awesome. And I think it'd be really great. And I will definitely try to do it. I'm glad there's other people that agree with me, except these 3 people. But I guess we don't have it for now. Let's read the section on advanced types anyways. Intersection types, otherwise known as variants, no? Union types, or is union type a variant? Number of strings. So unions are variants. Why were they called? Okay, this is technically a union. Does this mean it's an untyped union though? C has that issue. The union types in C are not very helpful. Fisher bird, Fisher bird. Alright, well we don't need a union type yet. So any other type we actually use now. Something else we can actually use. So the money, we're going to have to live with the fact that it's a string. We don't have a currency description. We're just going to have to live with the fact that we have that. Let's go back to Olis's suggestion of making a static class called monies, which will make this easier. Let's go back to classes. And there's something we can do static. Static properties, that's what I want. Can I do static functions? Class monies. Woo! Monies! Static. Okay, Cries, I don't know what a tag is. But also, I'm not going to follow that preamble right now. We found the issue, and we're gonna move on from that. I just love exploring those things, see how far our language has pushed it, and it's one of the problems. And I admit, because I'm making my own language, part of the problem here is that when you have a proliferation of languages, none of them have like a full feature set. It's becoming an issue. I mean, C++ is the one with a full feature set, but God knows is hidden behind who knows what syntax. You know, just keep typing random keyboards. Some point it might look as bad as Perl, but you have a lot of languages dominated for simpler projects. Okay, the tags, Christ. Yeah, okay, we probably did. And so if you have a lot of proliferation languages, you don't have full feature sets, but I think a lot of our languages now, especially new ones, are dominated by UIs. So web design, mobile design, iOS design, this type of stuff. And those languages don't really have the same required level of flexibility. Most of the code written in them really just want to pump it out fast. And so a lot of the new coders, I would say, aren't getting exposed to situations where things like subtyping would really help them. Although it would actually really help them if they actually exposed to it once. And I'm curious to see what happens in the next 5-10 years with languages, whether we keep having the same proliferation of languages or we have an increase, the same languages just mature. Okay, I'm just reading what Cry says about the unions of tags. Okay, so unions are a bit different than C. You can actually, I did read that quote. It looks like you can tell if they are. I don't have a use for unions right now yet, so I'm not going to use them right now. I want to make a function here that says value number, and it returns a money value. Now, it's really stupid to make a separate class. Why don't we just stick this inside the money value class? And no, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. Return new money value number, comma, euro. Whoa, what happened there? Ah! What did I press? No, there I am. Now, if you're watching this and you're wondering why I don't just use an enum for currency, it's because I've done work with currency before, and currency is not an enum. Currency is a 3-letter code in the international finance market, and if you ever use an enum, your chances are you're going to break your code at some point. And if you're working just in like North America and Europe, you're probably okay, but the currency codes actually change, and there's a huge list of them, and it's not really helpful to have a currency, an enum for them, but it is helpful to have functions that create the common ones you might use in your code. So let's take monies here and do monies euro instead. Monies euro. Does that work? All right, it's giving me errors. Number refers only type as soon as a value of 24. Control 24. Ah, come on. Oh, I always checked the wrong one. Yeah, Christ, that's what I'm going to go towards too. Oh, is there not a built-in optional type? I just assumed everything was nullable by default. So if I have this value, money value here, can this be null? Can this be null? I'd really love it not to be null. Oops. So if anybody can tell me this one, can this be null? We're going to have to look that one up too. I'd really love for these things to be not nullable and make it explicit when they're optional. Well, how do I get those super strict settings? I want super strict settings. I don't want things nullable. Enable strict null. Is this one? Is strict null checks? Let's just set all of these. Let's just go its anal super strict mode. Let's see what happens. Does it get mad at us? Let's just do all of this. I'm assuming it means arguments here. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, why are these not enabled, or these all are enabled by default? I'm assuming those are all there by default to begin with. So I think those were the defaults. Because I didn't change the values in any of these, I just commented them in, and so I'm guessing the defaults, we haven't changed anything here, that the default is actually super strict to start with. Which would mean it should be bitching at me if I do this. Alright. So argument of type null cannot be assigned. They are not default. Okay, so whoever did this file isn't following the normal convention in config files that when you emit a config file and you show a default here, you're supposed to assume that the file is the default, because it's really weird. Then it's really weird to have a commented out thing saying, well, it's true, but if you commented in, it suddenly changes the value. But we'll just enable all of the strict stuff and see what happens. And we don't need this money euro now. We need monies. Monies.usd. Monies.euro. We got those now. Is declared, but its value is never used. Okay. Now I want to get rid of that error because I think that error is kind of annoying. You'll see that in my Rust streams. I get angry about that quite a bit. When you have functions that aren't used, having an error come up, an actual error saying they're not used, is a little bit weird. Because you can temporarily not use something during refactoring. This just gets in the way. So which configuration option do I have that? No unused locals. No unused. I don't have any unused ones. Which one is that? Unused locals. Well, that's weird. I'd kind of like to use that, but I don't want unused functions. In a function, I'd like to report when a local's not used, but I don't want to have functions reported as not being used. Oh well, let's just enable it. Let's just be super strict for now, and just to remove them, because they're technically not removed. They're not used. And there must be a window here. Since it's showing the highlight, there must be some window here for the plugin showing me that it's local to the file. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Is there some way to open up a window here to show me the actual errors that I have in the file? Like, it's properly identifying with underlines. Okay. So now we have this money, because we have this monies now, and currency monies, and everything's here still working. It's still formatted correctly. And we've done some basic things. Now what else can we do in here that makes it more typey-like? We did the named item here, which is really not so necessary. We're not doing it. We have an item here. We're not going to have a different item. Let's have... let's just read the docs a bit further and see what thing I can force myself to use in classes. Let's go right up to the top of class. Well, Christ, today I'm working on my Mac. I'm working on a Mac today, and I don't have, actually I guess it has Visual Code, but Sublime is what we use for our tool Fuse. It was built, we had tool plugins for it, and I'm just used to using it on the Mac, and there's no particular reason, though I might actually install Sublime. This is actually, I don't know if Sublime has it on Linux or it's just Mac. So far I actually prefer Sublime to Visual Code, but it's kind of biased because a lot of the stuff I don't like Visual Code is actually the Rust plugin, and because it doesn't work. And there's some stuff I don't use in Sublime. I don't use like a built-in terminal, which I would like to in this case. So I tend to switch around. I don't know why. It's just, I'm on my Mac, I'm using Sublime here. Visual Code is good. Okay, well then maybe I'll try it another day. We can try it next time. I'm assuming it's on Mac. Let me just double script that. It's yeah, but is it really good for TypeScript like it's really good for Rust? Because it doesn't work for Rust. And I'll just check if it... Alright, so it does exist on a Mac. And... well, I can try it again another time. I'll see what happens with Sublime. I don't mind. Sublime's fine if it's working. Visual Code has a problem with formatting spaces, which kind of bugs me. Recall on my other show, when you use Visual Code and using proportional font, it makes spaces like this fat, which is really stupid. And so I like Sublime so far better for formatting. Alright, let's just go back and read docs. What do we have? What else do we have? Jeez. Really? Oh yeah, that makes sense. If they're both by Microsoft, that might... And I've lost my window again. It's really weird. Got it back. Alright, what do I have? Classes. That's the first thing it introduces in classes. Greeting. That looks fine. Let greeter equals new greeter. That's fine. Inheritance. Well, extends. I've used that before in the other one, so we don't have to look at that now. So Ithium also prefers Visual Code for TypeScript, and I've not noticed a speed issue with either of them. Actually, I've noticed some speed issues with Visual Code for Rust before, but again, that might be the Rust plugin. I doubt it's Visual Code itself. Complex example. What do we have? I see something like this. Is this a TypeScript thing to support formatting? It's not part of the classes, but let's check that out. Formatted. Alright, Christ. Thanks for watching. I'll keep learning. I'll keep learning later in the week. I'm just going to keep learning this a bit more. Alright, no, I did something wrong. I follow the syntax. It's not correct. This is backstrings. That's what it is. Backticks. Aha! Perfect! Yeah. Thanks, Lithium. Got it too. I like string interpolation. It's helpful in a lot of cases. It's for a compiler to support it, in this case, is not really so hard. I mean, assuming you have a format function, the compiler can basically compile this down to something like, you know, this dot format. I'm using Python syntax, this dot value, this dot currency. Assuming there's a format function, but since JavaScript doesn't have a format function, it must be doing a bit more. So let's go see what it compiles us down into. As curiosity's sake, what is it actually compiling us down to? Let's look for formatted. Oh wow, it compiled it down to this. It did no formatting. Okay. So it actually doesn't. It just did that, and wait a second. Just let me check something. What if I do this? Aha, okay, so it does, this is what I'm checking, because it wasn't forcing it to a string, but now it's actually forcing it to a string, and so I wanted to see what it would do. So there is probably an optimizer here saying, checking it. It probably always does this by default, and then in some cases it figures out, hey, you don't need to do that because it's already a string. But that's interesting. I just wanted to test that. And let's go back to this currency. Can we do formatters on these? Now, to hell with classes. Can I do formatters on this? I'm more interested in interpolation. It looks like it does that by default, but okay. Interpolation. Is there a bit on interpolation? Let's figure this out. TypeScript, string interpolation, string interpolation. Well, if I typed it better, but it's okay. Template strings. How do I make string interpolation function template? Why does nothing ever resolve to their site? Like, their docs don't have anything on the main things I'm looking for. Or is it because of Microsoft? Everything goes to the Microsoft site. What I'm looking for is, can I apply modifiers to this? Well, I already have a modifier, right? I already have get formatted. And I'm wondering, can I fall string? Alright, so you can do actual expressions in there. Can I call functions on the things? Can I do like an uppercase on it? Can I somehow, I want to call a function like foo this currency. Is this actually possible? Let's find out. TypeScript call function in string interpolation. This sounds like fun. I want fun. Everybody wants fun with string interpolation. From a guy named Paul Galvin. Well, he has lambdas, which is wonderful. I want to call some random function. Well, this wasn't that fun. I'm not clapping for that. So we can confirm we can call functions. So now I want to have a function called function format currency. And this takes a currency, which is a string. It's going to return a string. How do I call this? I want to do, let's see if this, let's try the obvious currency. Well, the obvious appears to work. Can I do a switch statement? Switch currency. Let's look up switch functions. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted. I want to do is TypeScript switch. How to use a switch statement in TypeScript. Case label, case label. Now I'm going to be used to the Rust one now. This one looks ugly. Is there anything equivalent to like the Rust ones where it just returns a value, or are you going to have to do this individually, like case 0 return? However the hell I type the euro symbol on this keyboard. Mac does not support international typing. Very unfortunate. Alright. This is what I do. My keyboard doesn't support international typing, so let's get the euro sign here somewhere. Case USD. Return dollars. And I'm just going to make this rough for now, and otherwise I'm going to return currency. That seems reasonable. What happens here? There we go. I don't care that dollars is in the back. Obviously, you use a locale function. This is just to test this. Yes, Lithium. I'm not actually trying. Like I said, Lithium picked up exactly what I said. I'm not trying to do an actual currency formatter at this point. I am just trying to play with the string interpolation. I had this quickly. So let's create another one here. See. And what else do I have for symbols? Let's copy over a... what do I want? Beaker, bag, and envelope. Lithium, no, it's totally fine. You don't worry about it. I just want to do... Let's do luggage. Let's do a mountain. A mountainous mountain. A mountainous mountain. This is going to be a mountain. Again, if you're watching this show, I'm not actually trying to write a real app here. I'm trying to learn TypeScript, and I'm just using Fuse to be sort of the front end to that to help us drive it and see what it's doing. And so let's do money, CAD now. That's the Canadian currency, and mountains are slow, and they are super cool. And we do that. Cool. And you got mad at me. Okay, we don't have the CAD. Let's throw it on here as well. And again, this is just a convenience one. If you have the same currencies used a lot, obviously if you're coming from a remote database, you're just going to create these directly. One CAD. So I confirmed it, it's working that way. One CAD. And we have all of those now. Okay, that does a string interpolation. String interpolation is really good. Now keep in mind, in Fuse, you can also do functions at the high level, and so if you have a front-end declarative language here as well, you're going to really have to decide, well, where do I actually want to do this formatting? The UX one's very limited. The JavaScript one is obviously very extensive, but it's done technically in the wrong layer of the code, but you just do whatever one works. I mean, when I say wrong layer of the code, because it's async, is that the difference between putting it here and inside the UX is that the user's going to have to wait one additional frame for it to resolve, and users tend to not notice that one frame, so you're not really going to have a problem unless your JS is processing. If your JS is processing, then it's going to have to wait for the processing to be finished to get back there. Alright, so far I'm liking the TypeScript far more than JavaScript, and so I'll never go back to JavaScript. Sounds good. Get rid of this thing. Now, what was the next thing in the list? We had type string. What else do we have? Classes. Next thing. Next example. Classes. Blah, blah, blah. Inheritance. We got sidetracked. They showed us something fun and complex. Oh, wow. All this. So all this just asked, how would I do a real-time currency tracker? And well, if you could give me a site, that gave me live currency translations, I could actually do that as an example, and that would actually be kind of fun. And the key, the way you set it up, is always in finance, when you have a currency value, there's no absolute value. And no, I don't mean a tracker. I still need to get the conversion from somewhere, right? So if you gave me the actual rates, I could actually do it. And man, somebody really wants to call me today. So the basic thing would be, we can do that, is if you had a conversion. And so if you, yeah, I don't need it to be live, but if you had the rates, then you can do the conversion. And the thing with currency is that currency, it's always in a fixed currency. You don't have an abstract amount. You don't say, like, have 25. You have 25 euros or you have $25, and bank accounts all work this way. And when you're doing conversion, like if you want to display it in USD or something, what you do is you always keep the primordial value around in its actual currency, 25 euros. And for display purposes, you convert it to US dollars. And you don't store the converted thing in a database or anywhere until you actually do a transaction. And this is one of the cases when you do financial thing, you have to be very careful about when you do these conversions. You keep the original value as long as possible until you actually do a transaction that converts it to the other type. For convenience for the UI, you can format it a different way, but you still have to keep the currency one around. And so this one here is you might want to have formatted, and you might have a second function that says format as Canadian dollars, and that would dynamically convert it, but it doesn't change the underlying data type. And if all this gets back to us with the thing that gives us an API for this, maybe it's something we can do on Wednesday, actually show how we can do the dynamic conversion. We can make a little program that converts in dollars. Oh, he's just going to give me a fixed table. Come on, that's not fair. Fine. Let's just do one anyways. So let's change this function. Let's do as zeros. Alright, so actually this would probably be his money value. In money value, you might want to have a function that has like convert to, and here you have a currency string. I'll just to sketch out what I said, but I'm not actually going to do it though. And this currency thing, this return a money value, and you do the conversion in here, convert from table. And these table lookups are a real pain because you have a whole bunch of currencies that translate back and forth, and you could do transitive conversions, but you don't really want to because the transitive conversion rates aren't always the same as direct rates, and there's things on top that, unless you have a live one, I'm not doing now. So I just say we might do that. For now, I'm just going to have these various currencies. Then it looks like my transaction account. I have these wonderful investment accounts where you have like literally a few dollars in every account, and I have to deal with it. Okay, is there anything else? Let's look back at TypeScript. Anything else we can do? We have a case statement. I don't like this case statement. I wonder if there's a better way to do case statements. We'll see when we get there. What else do we have here? Any new features here? Let's, no, basic, super. This is all new from basic from JavaScript. Public by default, public. Ooh, there's private. Interesting. What does private do? Let's say private. Will this destroy anything? Now, does this actually make it private to the outside world? Value.value. No. Alright, so private is strictly at the TypeScript level. It must still export the property as not private. That is, marking it private doesn't change the exported JS. Yeah, okay. I was hoping I'd mark it as a private field. That'd be interesting. I wonder if there's a way to do that. I'd really love to have it so if I mark this private, the exported JavaScript doesn't actually have this field. Yeah, and Lithium, I'm thinking of a case where if I'm combining this with JavaScript, or in the case of Fuse, I don't want the higher level library to see this at all. I'd prefer it to actually like just give it a mangled name, so it'd be like mangled, and then it would actually disappear, but I'll just leave it for now. We know there's private there, and that I will use that internally, but I don't have anything to use it for right now. We don't have private things. Protected, it probably means the same thing. I'll do that. Read only. Yeah, let's mark these read only. These sound right. Read only, read only. These are immutables. That's perfect. I like immutables. Are these immutable only at the TypeScript layer or the exported layer as well? Oh, only at TypeScript layer as well. Okay. So we can't make use because our Fuse UN up front end could directly bind to these, in which case it would be mutable, but we'll just mark these read only. Just leave it there as an interesting case. named item. What else do we have? Parameter. Parameter properties. What? Oh, I'm trying to answer what the hell is a parameter property? Parameter properties lets you create and initialize a member in one place. Here's a further revision octopus using a parameter property. Well, how does it tell the difference? Really? Alright. So, we have read only. Read only. It's saying this is the same thing. And it is. No, it's not. It lied to me. Oh, because I have to get rid of this. Alright, but then I have nowhere to document them. Well, that's okay. Let's find it out. Okay, that works. Except I don't have documentation. I'm not sure if that's what I want, but at least we learned it. Learning's good. So we know what that is, and that was definitely a shortcut I'd use sometimes. Because if all you're going to do is just create these as parameters, and let's just format this a bit better, then this saves you a little bit of work. And I guess that's why you have a public one, so you can do public by default, public, and this will be read-only. And this might be public read-only, public read-only, public read-only. And we have parameter types. Perfect. And what else do we have? What other things do we have? Constructor name. And so item, we can have the same thing. We can have a public name string, public image, public value, and public tags. And we can get rid of all of this. And get rid of this. Wonderful. That'll help reduce code a little bit. Although, it lacks something, because now what I have is I don't have a place I can document the items. And if I have a second constructor, it's not clear. But at least for some cases, it's convenient, and we'll worry about it then. We have accesses already. We know how they work. Get full name, set full name. And let's see what happens if we have a default here. Because these are read-only, it shouldn't let us write a value function, value number. It should bitch at us that this is not allowed. Just that value is value. Right? It should be bitching at us that you can't do that. Yeah, we can't identify it because it's not allowed. And we already have a value. We say X value though. And it won't allow us to assign it because it's read-only. So it's actually checking it. It verifies this is read-only. That's great. Now, if only I had an application to write. I could use all of this stuff. Static properties, we've had them already. Abstract class, ooh, abstract, that sounds fun. Make sound. Alright, I don't have a case for abstract yet. And abstracts would be in see, in this case here, I probably wouldn't use an interface named item in this listing. I would probably use an abstract class and have things like type and tags and stuff. And that would be more useful. I'll get back to these ones. Constructor functions. What is a constructor function? And here, I don't understand what it's saying. Alright, whatever. Anything else interesting we could do today? Let's just read the section of type inferencing and number. Okay. Best common type, so unified type. Unified types are good. Alright, this is one of the ones that this is very common in inferred languages. If you have a list, it's hard to infer that they're all of a base type. Alright, nothing interesting there. Iterators. You know what, I think I've actually done enough for today. I'm going to come back to this maybe on Wednesday and see what else we get. But we learned some basic TypeScript, and we saw how this integrates with Fuse just fine. And I'll probably use that in the future if I keep doing that. And yeah, Lithium, I could use I'll check that out. Let's see, Stack Blitz. But I'm trying to do it within Fuse to make it relevant to the product. Online VS Code IDE for TypeScript. Okay. I haven't done web development in a few years, though, so I wouldn't actually know what to do with it. But we could do that in the future. Alright, but I think I've learned enough for today. Again, I'm not really showing off anything in our product. I'm just showing off that I'm just learning some TypeScript here. We have the TypeScript. We learned a bit about it, so it's like we already knew the ES5 or 6 or whatever it was, so a lot of this wasn't new. The type formatters are really helpful. It's one of the big problems with JavaScript, you don't have types. It's one of the big problems with Python, but nobody has a TypeScript for Python. And we just played around with some of it. We played around with some of the creations. We verified that the typing actually works. When it exports, all the typing is gone because it's JavaScript. And in a few cases, like public-private, it means you don't really have true public-private, but that's okay. We get at least better than what we had before. And I think I'll leave this for today. And maybe I'll come back to this one on Wednesday and we keep working. Maybe not the same tool. We'll find out some other program, maybe do some design, or start working towards a larger app with TypeScript and see what happens. And we can just keep exploring with TypeScript, and we'll see what happens. And just know, I'm going to end with no. I'm not doing that. Alright, I did ignore it. I'll see you again. Again, this week, what I'll do is, if I get far enough in Leaf, we should start developing our game either this week or next week. We'll be doing a Snakes Tron-like game, and I think I'm far enough with the GL interface to do that. Over in Evening Rust, I'm playing Hypersonic. We made it to the Silver League in a very cheap fashion, and you guys are making crazy suggestions. Alright, why don't I make a Leaf library for Rust that does the parsing, and then Rust does the emitting of Python? That would be even better. We just combine them all together. But yeah, if you're watching this show, you should know by now that language preference, we jump around a lot, and don't worry if I bitch about your favorite language. I complain about all of them. That's my key point. I just complain about all of them and all they're missing. And so again, this week, Leaf, maybe we'll start doing game development on Friday. Otherwise, next week, we're doing Hypersonic and Evening Rust. It's a Bomberman type game, and the AI is coming along well. We're in Silver League, and maybe on Wednesday we keep learning TypeScript or doing something in Fuse. So I thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to retweet my tweets and promote this wherever you feel is appropriate. Thank you very much.